one is like the most important one that we think about when we ask how to find our audience online, which is go where your audience is. As soon as I say that, people, I know in my head and everyone's head, they're like, well, how do I do that? You start that with what I'm going to call keywords, and we're going to go into that. So since a lot of authors think that all you need to do is kind of show up, like on Amazon, show up on a blog, show up on their site, and people will come to them, but actually we need to go to our audience. And so how do we do that? Keywords. So the most important keyword that we just talked about was genre. You just noticed some good effect of that. So know your genre. I hang out with lots and lots of romance writers. And there is not one kind of romance. Nope. There is erotic romance. There is sweet romance. The other end of the spectrum. Then we've got, somewhere over here, we've got vampire romance. And we've got shape-shifting, paranormal romance. And we've romantic suspense. And we also have historical romance. And those are pretty much the main genres. Oh, we've got romantic comedies. Not so popular right now, but you know, they come and go. And those are pretty much the main categories. Oh, we have novels with romantic elements. And then we have women's fiction, which is actually outside of the romance spectrum, but a lot of the women I know also write that. So when we talk about genre, you get to narrow it down. If you're writing a book on social media, it would be, so part of audience is going to be genre, the other part is going to be audience. So how does your audience talk about themselves? Recently I was talking with a small business owner, and we threw out the word entrepreneur. And he says, I never think of myself as an entrepreneur, ever. And then I heard another guy, another coach who helps people, who talks about himself as an entrepreneur. And they're both in the similar kind of worlds. So how does your audience talk about themselves? I talk about myself as an entrepreneur. You know, that's what I do. I sometimes say small business owner, but not very much. So if you're writing a book for small business owners, but they call themselves entrepreneurs, you might want to say social media for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals. Right? So you catch all the people who would be your audience, but they just talk about themselves differently. You know, you might be talking to, I don't know how your audience talks about themselves, but the DIY crowd, right?
Yeah, that's an example.
DIY, or the make it, what do they call themselves? The make it people, make work. Makers, you know? So every audience has their own term for themselves. So you want to be clear of that. So when you're searching on Facebook, for example, which is one of the places where your audience probably is, on Facebook, you want to type in, see if you can find them by genre and by audience. So what else is important in these keywords? The thing it is that you are giving them is important. So I would say, what is the result you're giving your audience? If I am in the business of helping people write books, when they're done working with me, they'll have written a book. Then I would use as my keyword for this book, how to write books. First time I would write how to write books, first time novelists, how to. Those are my genre, my audience, my result. Now some books give you an experience. I'm writing a novel to empower teen girls. That's important to me. So if I wanted to find out where else online are they talking about empowering teen girls, so that's the experience I want to give my audience, I could type that in. I could type in paranormal, fantasy, because I'm writing fantasy, teen girls, empowerment, and see what I find. See who else is having that conversation online. People who are in the nonfiction world, you're giving people a result. By the time you're done with my book, you will have figured out how to get yourself online, like in social media. Or by the time you're done with my book, you will have figured out how to write lyrics. Right? As there's how to book on lyric writing. Or in your case,
how to set up a website.
How to set up a website. These are all results-oriented. So people are searching for this. How does your audience search for the result that you're giving them? How to make a video online. How to make a promotional video for small business. That is something I would want to learn, for example. So I'd find Ezra's website. So what do you do once you know your genre, your audience, the result, and or experience? Then you're going to do some searching. And there are some very specific places that you all can search. And you may already know these. So we have Facebook. And in Facebook we have groups. And we have fan pages. And I think that's pretty much it. Groups and fan pages. You might even be calling up personal profiles that use some of these terms. Like I follow a lot of authors. And they will put in their in their bio section about their book, and they'll list their genre and their audience and usually their experience for the fiction authors. So in Facebook, you'll search groups and fan pages, and just in the search page, in the search box, that's what will come up. LinkedIn. A lot of people forget about LinkedIn. In LinkedIn, there's lots and lots of groups, and they're very, very active. And for anybody working on a nonfiction topic that can help a professional or a small business owner or entrepreneur, LinkedIn has a search box and search in groups. And I'm emphasizing groups because when you want to connect with your audience, the easiest way to do that is in a group format instead of one-on-one. You'll probably pull in one-on-one connections as well. So we've got Facebook groups and fan pages and LinkedIn groups. There's another one that may not be as well known, but seems to have a long life, and that's Yahoo Groups. Yahoo Groups is text-based. You can either go to yahoogroups.com, I believe, or you can get them coming into your email. And it's like a listserv, something like that. And in Yahoo Groups, you can also search using your keywords. The other place that you can go online is think about the professional associations associated with your audience. Right? And this is an often overlooked resource. Of course, you can do the professional associations in real life, and I would hope that you do. We're talking about online. So, let me give you an example. I write fantasy and paranormal. That's also under the umbrella of what's called speculative fiction. And just the other day, I found an association for speculative fiction authors. And I said, what better than I'm going to join K? Because I also know that speculative fiction writers are also readers. I also belong to the Romance Writers of America because I write, there's romantic elements in what I write. And a lot of people in there are my readers as well. You just discovered something?
The association, the list of associations and organizations for speculative fiction writers.
Wow, so that's so cool. There's even lists that lists are specific associations. Yeah. There's associations of, well, social media managers is starting to come up as a profession. Right. There's probably an association for that. We know there's an association for physics teachers. There's probably an association for video professionals. You know, there's an association for just about everything. And there's even a book called The List of Associations. There's an actual book. And you can go to any reference library, any business library, any university business library and find this book. I used to work at the business library and I saw this book. It's fat. So associations is big. You can give talks there. You can actually meet your audience. You can get to know your audience. So, and then there's a place where readers congregate. When you're a reader, I've noticed there's a big distinction, because I'm so focused on being a writer, there's a huge distinction. There are people who love to read. All they do is read. Read, 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 read. And they're not writers at all. So, hello writers. There are tons of people out there who just love to read. And you can find them online today. It is so cool. So, and the most popular one, I was working with a client and I evaluated all the 3 big websites. Like, which of these 3 big websites are the best, where these readers congregate. And what I found was Goodreads.com, I thought was the best at the time. Everything.com was second, and Safari.com was another one. All 3 very popular. And I know a lot of authors create pages and interact with their readers there. And it's wonderfully subdivided by categories and genres and, of course.
I'm drooling.
Are you drooling?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, this looks great.
It's great.
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah. And they're all integrated. Most of them are starting to get integrated with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. All right? They're really cool. So it's a great way to go directly to your reader. And these readers, they create popular lists. They recommend books to their friends. You can really create some viral communication here. And just hang out with your crowd. And, of course, there's blogs. Now, this is mostly in the fiction world. So if you do a search for your genre and blog and readers, put in the keyword readers, you will find blogs that are for readers. They're book reviews, they're author interviews, they're all about being very excited about the books in the genre. I write for teens, and I just found a website just for teens, about books for teens, talking about the books, drooling over the books. It was overwhelming. It was amazing. I know that, of course, the romance industry is huge on this. There's a lot of people who just, all they do is review books on their blogs. So you could also type in reviewer, reader, your genre. One of my friends is self-published in erotic romance, vampire erotic romance. And I interviewed her and I said, Tina, what marketing efforts did you do? I wrote a long article about her on my blog, and another writer. And she said, I submitted my manuscript to review sites, blog review sites, people who love vampire erotic romance. Like, there's whole blogs dedicated to that. It's amazing. And she got some good reviews, she got some good buzz. She's making a decent living selling her books on the Kindle to this audience. Really cool, very savvy.
Now, is this something that your agent would do normally?
For published authors, somewhat. But in today's day and age of being able to send a PDF of your book, and plus she's only EPUB'd and self-published. So, yes, your publisher actually will send out review copies to appropriate reviewers, usually 3 months before the book is published. But if they don't, it's on you. Yeah. I'm not even talking about the mainstream, traditionally published areas where you get reviewed. This is for people who are doing it themselves and who want to find online places to be reviewed. Yeah. So that is primarily the places where you are going to find your readers. Review sites, these library sites, and what do we say, associations, LinkedIn, Facebook. Lastly, ask your target audience, where do you hang out online? Maybe they say, oh, I'm just on Facebook. Or maybe they found this really cool site where they love to talk. I don't know, for the makers world, if there's a place where they,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
They go.
Yeah.
And nobody else is there, just the makers, right? What is that? I'm just curious.
There's a Made magazine site, so it's madezine.com. And then there's a couple of other sites that we go to a lot. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So you know what they are.
Yeah.
Everybody probably already knows. And as a writer, there's, for example, writersdigest.com has a huge community attached to it. Same with the other Writer magazine. So that's great. So your journals, your favorite journals and magazines online. I read Inc. magazine, and they're always saying, come to our forum and participate in the conversation, right? So if I wanted to be conversing with other entrepreneurs and business people, I'd go to Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur magazine, Fast Company magazine, online.